Bhavna, who's just joined us. Hi, can you hear me?
Hey there.
Hi, eagerly waiting for you here on the stream. We have a bunch of folks who have joined in.
Yes.
Very glad
Hello,
uh,
everyone. Namaste and hello.
namaste and hello, of course. So, shall we get started, Bhavna?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to join in, but for some reason I was not able to. I don't know. I was ready just for the record.
No, the tech gods are always there to add a
Yeah.
little bit of spice to anything we do. But thankfully they've agreed to let you join. So just grateful that you're here today. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you to everyone who's joined our live stream.
Yes, I can
Just a
see
quick
a whole lot of
introduction.
names scrolling. Thank you for
Sorry?
joining in. I said I can see a whole lot of names scrolling.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just
Quite
quickly
exciting.
quickly introduce Bhavna to some of our viewers. Bhavna is a veteran of our fitness industry. She's been in this industry for almost 2 decades, over 2 decades now. And she's been one of the most pioneering trainers in the country. She was one of the first people to introduce a whole bunch of different methodologies to the country in terms of training itself. And she's, of course, an internationally certified trainer. And more recently, she's, of course, been a writer who's well read across most of the major English dailies. She's been a columnist with Hindustan Times, with Mumbai Mirror, with she's written pretty much every English daily that you can think of, from Business Standard to Economic Times, and uh, and of course her crowning achievement more recently is that she's also the author of the best-selling book, Five Figures of Fitness, Fitness Love
Yes.
Story. I have the book right here. It's an amazing
Okay.
read. I've just pretty much
Thank
gotten to the
you.
last chapter.
Ta-da.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Bhavna. It's an amazing
Thank
achievement.
you.
For those of you who don't know, the book, of course, is a number 1 bestseller, but is actually ranked 162nd among all books in all categories on Amazon, which is an amazing achievement.
That's brilliant.
It's a fantastic read. I found it a very refreshing take, Bhavna, in terms of the way you looked at fitness from the eyes of the trainee rather than the trainer. So most of the books on fitness and nutrition that we read are very pedagogic, right? It's very
Yes.
pedantic. Here's what you should do. Here's what will happen. For the first time, I read a book where it was from the eyes of the trainee, and the journey that each of us goes. And I think, and the way you looked at it in terms of not just the physical side of it, but looking at it holistically from the mental side as well, and sort of psychology of fitness and how it affects
Right.
our lives, was really fantastic to read. I'm going to go back and read it. It's amazing. It's got so many beautiful little tips. It's got QR codes to go and look up
Thank you. Thank
exercises.
you.
Really fantastic.
That was the
And
whole idea, I wanted to step out of the usual run-of-the-mill dry way of writing fitness. So I wanted
yeah,
to come up with a unique concept. And that's what was very difficult for me to come up, because it was really easy to, put up some flowery quotes and get textbook knowledge and say,
yeah,
do this, do that. I put some voluminous explanation of exercises, stand like this, toes apart, sit back like you're sitting on a chair, etc. So that was very easy to do because, but I wanted to move out of that genre and make fitness fun to read, because it's seen as a dry and a boring subject to read. That's when I
yeah,
came up with this Bollywood style story interactive format.
yeah.
And we were lucky that we came upon the idea after we got the manuscript and after I completed the manuscript. It was just a eureka moment where we thought of the
Lovely.
QR codes. So there's no
Lovely.
voluminous explanation. You just scan a code, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it just makes it literally makes it more interactive
Yeah,
in
it
many ways.
is.
And I think the most fascinating thing for me was because of the sort of Bollywood story format. It also spoke about the fact that the journey for a person in fitness has its own ebbs and flows, right? It's not like people tend to see the before and after photographs on the internet, and they're always terrible, right? Like they basically somebody looks, doesn't look that good, looks like you and me, and then suddenly day after tomorrow they're they're amazing in terms of their bodies. But actually, that whole journey of going from A to B, has its own ebbs and flows, and that's what I love a lot. That's a very honest and
Thank you.
refreshing
Thank
way
you.
to look
And
at it.
I have not undergone any major transformational journey, like knocked off 100 odd kilos or something.
Yeah.
So I could not use myself as an example. That was also another difficult part for me, because uh, I didn't have a story to tell, honestly. I've
No, fair
always
enough.
been fit. I've been the sports captain of school. my mom jokes, I started walking late because I'm quite tall. So in terms of your center of gravity, right? So I started walking late. My mom's joke is that once she started walking, she just didn't stop, because I've always been active. So I did not
Wow.
have that transformational journey to put out there, and I don't think anyone was so interested in reading about my story, So hence this
No,
other
fantastic. So
story
beautiful.
that came
I think,
about.
no, absolutely. I think, uh, yeah, absolutely. And uh, uh,
And of course, you have to
given the
add your
fact
masala and tadka to everything. So
no, it's fantastic. I think authors very often actually telling somebody else's story allows you to have also a dispassionate and objective view of it, right? I think that makes it even richer than telling your own story, which are too close to, many times. When we're talking about ourselves, we do get blinded, but actually, when you're talking about somebody else's story, you can actually see it in its own beauty and richness. So I think that's fantastic. The perspective that you've taken. I think what excited me most. Uh, if I were to be very selfishly honest about it, was that you dedicated an entire chapter on our business, which is the business of making sure people have enough protein, right? There's an entire chapter on whey proteins, and read that one twice, saying, okay, thank God, there's somebody out there who sort of understands our mission
I'm a
of
big
making sure
believer
people.
of whey protein. Everything that I try and test on myself. I'm like my own guinea pig. And I have tried working out where I've done my workouts consistently in the gym and all, and not gone on whey protein, and as opposed to vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen the change in my body. I've seen feeling stronger, better recovery times. There's a whole lot of benefits with whey protein, which is why I'm a big proponent of whey. Yeah.
So
So
just for our audiences, and some of them are obviously early in their fitness journeys, but some are actually veterans. So some of the audiences here, I can already see are people who've been running for 20 years or so understand nutrition well. But some will be folks who are very new to the segment. So just for them, can you talk a little bit about the approach to protein and specifically whey protein? So what does it actually do? Um, and what role does it play in, as far as fitness is concerned, at least for you, the way you look at it?
okay, so firstly, I want to firstly clarify your whey protein is not a substitute for food. It's a supplement. It's supposed to fill that
Absolutely.
little deficit that you need in your protein requirements. Okay. For the absolute novice, I'll just explain. Now, your protein requirements depend on your age, your weight, and your fitness levels, and of course, your physique goals, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Very vaguely and layman language putting it, you can need 0 point according to the DRI, the Directory Reference Index.
Yeah.
You need around 0.8 grams of protein per kilo of body weight if you're
Yeah.
sedentary to a non-active person. If you're an
Yeah.
average exerciser, moderate exerciser, then that is around 1.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And
Yeah.
if you're an elite exerciser, an elite athlete, or a bodybuilder, you can even go up to 1.6. So there's a
Yeah.
wide parameter. Just to keep things simple, we say 1 gram of protein per 1 kilo of body weight is what we
Body.
recommend, just to keep it mathematically simple. So if
Yeah.
uh, I feel that is a kind of protein that you need to intake. Now, a lot of people feel they're taking enough. Some people are taking a lot. Some people, being a primarily vegetarian country, are not getting their requisite proteins. So, which is where whey protein comes in to fill in the deficit also.
Yeah.
Now, you can get your protein from your food sources, which you could have in vegetarians is your dals, like your lentils, your rajma, chola, chana, quinoa, tofu, paneer.
Yeah.
But they are incomplete proteins. They don't have
Yeah.
all the requisite amino acids that you need for the recovery and build up. I'm getting a lot of messages. Huh. So there are around 20 amino acids that are essential and that are required,
Yeah.
uh, out of which 9 cannot be manufactured, cannot be sourced from food, and you have to get cannot be manufactured by the body. Sorry,
Yeah.
and can be sourced from have to be sourced from food. Now these
Yeah.
vegetarian sources are mostly incomplete proteins. They don't have the requisite amino acids. While
Yeah.
the non-veg sources like your chicken, poultry, fish, meats, they have the complete sources. So it also
Yeah.
depends whether you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So that's when
Yeah.
you need to know whether you need to fill in the deficit or not. And like I said, what category of fitness you are. And I think that's an important part where your protein supplementation comes in.
No, absolutely. I think, music to my ears, of course, because our entire objective here at Foodstrong was to create a bunch of products that made protein more accessible for the average Joe, right? We realized that a lot of people have aversions to having protein because it has certain connotations when it comes to bodybuilding, for example, or the fact that it has external elements added to it to create, whether
Yeah,
it's
I have heard
steroids
of
or
those
any other.
misconceptions too, and I'm sure you have also along your journey in this business. I think
Yeah.
what are the most common misconceptions or myths of consuming whey protein you have come across? You can tell me.
I, I think um, I think obviously there are misconceptions in terms of its origin itself, right? I think we're at pains to explain to people that it's basically a derivative of milk, and milk proteins. Actually, the two kinds of milk proteins, casein and whey. And so on. So,
Right.
but I think where I found that misconceptions flourish the most, to be honest, when it comes to our industry, is wherever the word weight is involved. So either have consumers who think that having whey, for example, I have had folks talk to us on WhatsApp and ask if it actually leads to weight gain. Um, Having whey leads to weight gain. I think that's one misconception. On the other end, there's also people who magically believe that having whey leads to weight loss. Both are actually, in our opinion, not exactly
So,
accurate. So maybe you can expound on that.
firstly, I don't believe in weight, but if you're looking at weight on a weighing scale per se, a calorie deficit will lead to weight loss. Eventually, I'm not talking about muscle versus fat weight, and I'm
Yeah,
talking about maybe losing inches and fitting better into your clothes and all.
yeah,
And an excess of calories will lead to weight gain, right? So that's something that people need to keep in mind. And in
yeah,
India, if they feel something is good, little is good, then more is better. So let's have more of it. That is the thing. So
yeah.
you say that whey is good for you, or you say this protein supplement is good for you, then they'll say let's have more. I mean, it's just that mentality,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
So you have
of
to also
course.
know how to balance things out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think absolutely. I think the word balance is probably the one thing that we keep trying to repeat, people, right? And unfortunately, there is a bunch of products in the market as well that don't exactly talk about that. I think that's a very good point that you make. That ultimately, any supplementation only happens when you look at the composition of the overall eating habits that a person has, right? And not just in isolation saying, "I've had this, therefore magically it should result in something," right? So
Right.
I think that's conceptually, I think, absolutely understand, where you're coming from.
And excess of anything is bad. Even an excess of water can lead to fatality. So what
No,
is
absolutely.
whey, right? So
No,
uh,
absolutely.
even if you take an excess of whey, it's not that I'm trying to put it down as a protein. I feel it's a great source, but an excess can lead to loss of urinary calcium. So eventually
No,
osteoporosis.
absolutely.
It can lead to weight
Yeah,
gain, like we explained.
yeah,
Liver, kidney stress, digestive issues. But that's
yeah,
anything done in excess is bad for you. So it's as simple as that. If you're taking it as a post-workout supplement, now this is what I would recommend. I
yeah,
feel after your exercise session, okay, your muscles are like a sponge. Okay, they're ready to absorb, retain the nutrition and the protein to recover from the exercise bout, to repair the muscles. So that
yeah.
I call it the RAP, rapid absorption phase. So that point
Okay.
of time when you take in the protein, it really help to rebuild and recover, okay, from your workout. So
Yeah,
that is one point of time. Like people ask me, what's a good time to take protein? So post workout
yeah,
is number one, which is what I always recommend.
yeah,
And another option, especially if you lack uh, the requisite amount of protein in your diet, I would say somewhere around the morning. When you sleep at night, your body is yet, you are sleeping, you are resting, but your body is yet working.
yeah,
Your repair of and your nails grow at night, your hair grows at night, your
yeah.
dead cells your body are replaced by new cells. You get they say that you get a fresh kidney and a fresh liver every few months, because all the
Oh,
dead cells, you see, if you have like a dead skin, then over a period of time, of course, that wears out and you get the fresh skin. So simple as that. So imagine the
yeah,
change that your organs are taking place deep within. So after your body has done all this work, it has used amino acids to complete its work while you are resting. So when you wake
yeah,
up in the morning, your body needs to replenish those amino acids.
yeah.
I am a believer of Fit for Life, so I always believe wake up your morning
Sorry, I
and
think
have
Bhavna, we
some
lost you
fruit.
there. Maybe.
Sorry? Network issue?
Bhavna, sorry, I think I lost you there. You were talking about you're a believer. I think that's where I lost you.
Right. There was a network glitch. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I believe when you wake up in the morning, your body is made up of living cells. So you should have something fresh and living like a good fruit. Some portion, both to start off the day on an empty stomach. So have any kind of fruit, a seasonal, so a local or a seasonal fruit. And after some time, you should have a protein source because your body needs to replenish those amino acids. That's where whey protein can fill in as a mid-morning snack or as the big breakfast. And it will help to curb down your sugar levels, replenish those amino acids, and it curbs your hunger pangs and sugar pangs. So eventually, you're craving less sugar, you're feeling fuller longer, and in the long run, will also lead to weight loss. So that's how your protein supplement can also lead to weight loss. Satiating, it's filling, and of course, where food strong is concerned, it is super delicious too.
Yeah, absolutely. No sugar added. It is a
no
plug.
Sugar added.
Thank you for that plug.
So that's one thing that I really felt strongly about when I have had consumed food strong before. And apart from the fact that it meets all the parameters that protein powder, protein supplements should have. Now, a lot of people have asked me that how much protein should be there in a scoop of whey protein powder. So just clarifying that now. And ideally, your whey protein per scoop should have around 20 to 30 grams of protein. I see this is around 25 grams. Carbohydrates should be 0 to 3 grams. And this is also low in carbs. I think you can help me with that.
It's about 4.3.
No, I remember correctly. This has got less. It's got 3.
Yeah.
3.2. This is on has got less. Okay. Your fat is 0 to 1 grams. Again, this is less. I think just about there.
It would be less.
Yeah, and sugar is 0 to 0.2 grams, you have 0 sugar, right? So that's what also veered me towards it. And a good protein is, a lot of people don't know, can also work as an antioxidant and an immune system builder. And what I see is you all have enhanced that. You all have added an immunity boosting turmeric. So that is such a refreshing change because in any way, whey protein is an immune system builder. And you'll have enhanced that. Another thing, the antioxidant property, you'll have added green tea. So I'm like, this is 2 thumbs up.
Okay. Thank you. No, absolutely. I think one of the fascinating stories for us
is delicious. I said that again.
Thank you. No, absolutely. I think it's a digression, but I might as well tell it. The story of why turmeric is in our proteins actually didn't start with immunity at all. You know, back in the day, we talked about a pre-COVID era. We were actually talking to a bunch of coaches, and we realized that the age-old sort of trick that people have been following is if you had a long run day or if you had a hard workout, most coaches recommend that you go home and have a glass of haldi doodh. And the reason is actually haldi is a great anti-inflammatory, of course.
Yes, yes.
And that's actually the first time we said, okay, if this has to really, serve somebody who's looking at the fitness journey, let's look at adding an anti-inflammatory. Whey itself, by the way, has anti-inflammatory properties, but fundamentally enhancing those with turmeric. And that was the core of where the idea of let's find a way to incorporate turmeric without messing with the taste started. And that's where the journey started for us. Fantastic. We've spoken a lot about whey proteins, but perhaps the audience would also benefit from your insights in terms of what are some of the other sources of protein that you recommend to your students, your trainees?
So like I said, that depends if you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian. There are a whole lot of proteins you get in your diet. Our traditional form of eating, like a rajma comes with rice, where rice is an incomplete protein. It kind of blends in with the rajma. Your dal and chawal also, getting a tofu or a paneer, quinoa. Though I feel quinoa is a little heavy, it does have more calories and cholesterol, but these are the sources I recommend for vegetarians. Egg is seen as a very high form of protein. So people say, I had an egg a day. And I have to explain to them that an egg is just 7 grams of protein. The yolk has approximately 3.5 and the white is 3.5. So just because you had an egg, you're not, meeting up with your protein requirements. So there's a lot of deficits. Even being a mother, I have to tell my son, he'll take 3 pieces of paneer on his dinner plate and he'll say, I'm done. So I'll say this is your body weight. Now, easier way to explain to children is not just to say what, but also
Yeah.
say why, because that's when they understand. So you'll say, how much protein do you think you're getting from this much? So you'll say,
Good.
oh mom, 4, 5, 6 grams, I think, because he's only taken 3 pieces. I said, see, you are 33 kilos. So how much do you need to now fill in that deficit? That's when they understand, right?
Fantastic.
And for non-vegetarians, of course, it's pretty easy that way. If you're having and fish and your poultry and your meats, and again, I avoid red meats. Yeah. So
No, fantastic. I
that's
think.
the way I recommend it. And if you're, if
Sorry.
you're in a rush, then to grab this as on the go protein source. See, also we have to understand. Now, this is for people who overdo it. Indian mentality. Thoda to bahut karo. So, so I also have to explain to them that you can't have more than 70 grams of protein in one meal. Because there are people, I've been part of very many gyms in Bombay for 25 years, close to 25 years now. And people break raw eggs and they have this and that, and they'll have the shake like mass builders and all. So you don't even need to overdo it to that level, right? Because it's going to, like I said, interfere with your digestion, urinary
Yeah.
calcium loss, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a good fill-in supplement. What I would recommend is to have around 25 to 30 grams of protein every 3 hours or so. See, I don't believe in mixing anything with fruits. So you're first thing in
Right.
the morning, you just have your fruit akha the way they're supposed to be eaten. And then right through your day, after every 3 hours, you have small sensible meals with some kind of protein, preferably complete protein profile to it. And
Yeah.
you set, it's not so difficult. People overthink and muddle themselves up.
But
And
I think there's a
there
lot
are
of.
students who will go starving all day, and then for lunch they have a heavy lunch at 3 o'clock. Dahi hai, anda hai, rajma hai, quinoa hai, because they want to go easy on the rice. I mean, how much protein you want to take, and if they all the more they'll put hemp seed powder also because that's a superfood, no? So wo bhi dalo. So I mean, your body can't take in so much protein. Why don't you just have rajma chawal once, then have your
Good.
curd and all later, maybe 4 o'clock or something, not cold. Well, things like
Interesting.
that. Have your egg for breakfast. Break it up. Space it out.
Superb hack. I think the other thing that I noticed is there's a lot of jargon thrown around by consumers. So a lot of times I'll get asked saying what's isolates, what's concentrates. Can you clarify hydrosylates, for example? Can you clarify for our audience how important is that distinction, and should you really care about it? Like what are those elements, and should you really be caring about this?
Right. So the different types of protein supplements, or whey protein comes in the form of concentrates, isolates, and hydrosylates. Okay. So 1 second. Too many messages. So first is concentrates. They have low but significant levels of fat and cholesterol. They're quite high in carbohydrates, but they also have a lot of lactose, so they're difficult to digest. And but they're good flavored. They're pocket friendly, so they're most reasonably priced. And you check the labels and you check the price point. That makes it more popular because they're quite delicious to taste, and they're pocket friendly. So they yet are popular in spite of the fact that they're difficult to digest. Okay. The second, which is my personal choice, is isolates. Like you all have isolates. Oops. Right. So isolates, I think, are more of the middle path. They have around 90% protein content, which is great. They are processed to remove the fat and lactose, so they're easier to digest and easier to absorb. So bioavailability is good. That means the absorption retention by the muscles is good, and they're affordable. The price tag is affordable, so they are becoming more and more popular, even though they're more expensive than the concentrates variety. And the gold standard is the hydrosylates. Okay, they have been pre-digested and partially hydrolyzed for easy metabolization. So they're very easy to digest. Their price point though is very high. So no prizes for guessing they're the least popular. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I would always recommend an isolate for, like I said, the balance.
Yeah.
It's
I
quite
noticed
easy to
that,
digest, and it's pocket friendly.
Got it.
Yeah.
I noticed while we were talking about, Karan had a question saying, does it have any side effects on hair and skin? Have you seen any side effects of whey on hair and skin?
Yeah, happy side effect. So they say your hair and your skin is also made up of protein and collagen and all, right? So in fact, it will give a nice shine and to your skin and a luster to your hair. So these are the added benefits. Don't overdo anything, I repeat, but it's good for your skin and hair. So why not?
Absolutely. In fact, some of the, very often one of the things that we realize is that, when you have deficiencies like vitamin D, for example, or vitamin C, there are quite visible symptoms of those on the human body, right? Vitamin E deficiency, for example. Whereas protein, it's actually always a whole bunch of different symptoms. And one of them, for example, is brittle nails or
Yes.
hair fall. And very, very often people attribute it to either other vitamin deficiencies or to stress and the kind of lifestyle they have. And we're at pains to explain that actually fundamentally a protein deficiency itself can cause some of these. Actually, bridging a protein gap is the first step to actually getting back good hair health or skin health or nail health. The entire body is made of protein.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
highly
So,
recommended.
superb. No, superb. I think that really clarified a whole bunch of stuff. Bhavna, I think the last thing I want to touch upon with you was actually this fascinating idea that came in your book itself, which was really, if I remember the acronym correctly, there was this acronym called SELF, right? And part of it was really about keeping things fresh. And I found that really fascinating, right? But that entire mental side of fitness and nutrition, right? That you need to find excitement in everything that you're doing. Can you talk a little bit about why do things need to be fresh? Why do you need to keep things fresh? When it comes to your fitness, your food. How
Right. So that's
important?
coming back to my book. The abbreviation SELF, SELF,
Yeah.
was created by me. Okay, it's not really gym lingo. So it stands for safe, effective, lifelong, and fresh. So
Yeah.
being primarily a #cardio queen, an aerobics instructor, I always believe in adding variety to my routines because it
Yeah.
makes it more fun, and it also adds that element of challenge. So
Yeah.
you must be coming across people who maybe go for power yoga Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., right? So every time it's the same thing. First, it's going to be relatively difficult. You're seeing the change in your body because there is a challenge. Unless you challenge yourself, you don't change yourself, right? So
Yeah.
as long as you add the challenge element, you're going to see changes in your body. Then after some time, you find it boring because it's the same Surya Namaskar after all in little different blends and forms. But it becomes easier and easier for you to do because your muscles adapt to exercise very fast, right? And then that's what I believe is a system called cross training, which keeps every exercise, every cardio segment that we do is always different. So it's always a challenge. It's always fun. There's always variety. So for example, in a class like mine, you come once and you'll be doing, say, a Zumba once, like a Monday. Wednesday could be a step routine, and a Friday could be a box exercise routine. So the wear and tear of muscles is also less because when you're doing box exercise, like I'm saying, say 3 times a week, then there's a lot of pressure on your shoulder joints, on your lats, right? So
Yeah.
the chances of muscle pulls, injuries are more.
Yeah.
Joints, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
wear and tear of the joints. Like for runners, swimmers, everyone who does a consistent form of exercise, right? You'll see a lot of wear and tear. Here, it's going to be a challenge, but the next time you come is a completely different exercise, and so it's a new thing for your body. So they have to get adapt to that new exercise form. So what I'm
Fantastic.
always trying to tell my students and through the book is to add a progressive overload to your workouts, right?
Yeah.
That's the mantra behind the mother principle of my book too. So even if you are in a gym and you're pushing 100 push-ups, and every day or every alternate day you're doing 100 push-ups, it is too easy for you. It's not exercise anymore because it's too easy for you. Then how are you challenging
Yeah.
yourself? You're like,
Yeah.
rose 100 push-ups marte hain, maro, but you're not going to see the change, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're saying, that you add a progressive overload, which is why gym training is also a very good way of strength training for a simple reason that you can't go beyond 20 reps. In any exercise program, it's 8 to 20. Of course, you're a power lifter, then you're doing 1 rep max and all. That's a different story. But for an average person, 8 to 20, sometimes 12 to 15 is what you generally adhere to. But when that becomes too easy, you just put the pin on the next higher weight plate, and then again you go back. So it's time efficient also. You're not like Forrest Gump that, okay, fine, I can run all day long. So today I ran for 1 kilometer. Next time I ran. So over a period of 5 years, now I can keep running. Because your body, it's not challenging for you anymore, because now you've been running 3 times a week or multiple days for 5 years, right? So that's how you add the element of challenge. And also another thing which is a secret of mine is I incorporate high and low workouts in my classes. So what does that high-low mean? When you work at a moderate intensity, okay, like walking, okay, you're walking, brisk walking, apart from muscles adapting to that because it's doing daily, you're not going to really attack your fat from your fat cells. It's like you're driving a car. If I'm driving a car at a regular speed, 4th gear, my petrol consumption, my fuel consumption is only that much, okay, or you are going to be cruising. But if I stop the car, if I start the car, if you stop the car, if you change the gear a lot, then your fuel consumption is more, right?
Fantastic.
The same theory for high-low training. So if I go for a low intensity and then a high intensity, like HIIT, like Tabata, okay, where it's scientifically proven that, okay, now you do this burst of explosive activity and then you take it low for the next 10 seconds or 20 seconds and again do it high, again do it low. So there's recovery and then there's your maximum effort, recovery. So it's in a loop. Or speed training when you're running, right? Fast walk, run, walk. Speed interval training when you're walking or in a park or when running, jogging in a park, right? That will burn more calories. That will burn more fat than moderate intensity or that regular intensity training. That is a trick that a lot of people don't know. So you should try and incorporate that.
Super.
Whichever form you need to.
Sorry, what? I couldn't hear that.
Whichever exercise form you need to. So like we do the same format in exercise, in step, in aerobics, in dance. So even if you do Zumba is not, according to my students, in not very high intensity because they get killed in class. So they do a Zumba and then they do a 1 minute of like a jog or a run or maybe 20
mix it up basically.
So we bring a high intensity, low intensity. That's the magic to burn the calories.
No, fantastic. And you're hitting your muscle fibers from multiple directions. So actually,
right.
You're creating a more a balanced growth in your muscle fibers as well as you hit it from other directions. Otherwise, you'll have unidirectional growth, which leads to imbalances in the body as well and pains down the road as well, right? Because if you have imbalances in muscle mass, it actually causes backaches, for example, or you can end up twisting your hands or legs at some point in time. So, superb advice, I think, in terms of just keeping it exciting, keeping it fresh. We have a bunch of questions that came in.
Variety of fun and challenging workouts.
Absolutely. I can imagine there's a lot of fun to be had in one of your classes, given that you mix it up so much and so many different styles are available to you to select from. I think that also just having a large repertoire just helps you build a more richer team. I think that's fantastic in the way you look at it. I'm going to try and hit a few audience questions now very quickly. I think Ishita had a question saying she's had whey protein and she's had bloating issues with whey protein.
I think you should answer that. I believe if you're not lactose intolerant or you don't have any kind of milk allergies, I feel the whey protein is good for you. Otherwise, there are vegan forms of protein available. I also have tried a fully Ayurvedic form of protein and it was really good. It was very high in calories though, and I noticed that this is 130 calories, but the other one was the fully Ayurvedic form was good too, very Indianized, vocal for local, but very high in calorie content, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't recommend it too much.
Absolutely. I think 2 points that I just want to emphasize that. I think one is that, the amount of lactose in the protein varies by exactly the kind of whey protein that that Bhavna was talking about a few minutes ago, right? So the concentrate will typically have the highest amount of lactose. The isolates even lower, and hydrolysates even lower lactose. And then, of course, there are some protein brands, shameless plug, but like us, that actually put in a bunch of digestive enzymes in there as well to help you digest the protein. So that improves digestibility even further and breaks down some of the lactose, in your stomach, or helps you break it down. But of course, there are vegan options as well. Like we also offer vegan options in terms
We
of
all do. I
protein.
did not know that. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. I think one of the other tricks that I certainly recommend to people is that, irrespective of our brand or whatever, find your brand, try out a bunch of them, gradually increase the quantum that you're having, and you'll find the rhythm, because the body also adapts. I think that's the other thing that people forget, that, if you've not been having a low protein diet for a long time, then you suddenly load it with protein, your body will be saying what's going on. It's the same with exercise. So, graduating that increase in amount of protein is also something that I highly recommend. I think we've covered almost everything else that people have asked. We already spoke about the fact that, Sheetal had a question in terms of very high protein. Does it have an issue on kidneys? I think you had covered that, Bhavna, when we spoke about the fact that, excessive anything is always bad. You can have too much salt, you can have too much sugar, you can have too much turmeric as well. I mean, anything in high quantities can actually be poison for the body.
Anything in excess is bad for you.
Yeah, anything in excess. So I think we've covered most of the questions around whey. It's been a really fascinating session, Bhavna. It's also fascinating to see the way you look at it, where you actually see all the different forms and varieties of fitness workouts that are available to people, rather than sort of narrowly thinking of one versus the other. But you actually seem to see them as a confluence of different ideas coming together to create a healthy lifestyle. I find that really refreshing. So thank you for taking the time out and sharing so many different little hacks, whether it's about keeping things fresh, about the way you look at your food, when to have your fruits, how to incorporate protein. Superb. It was really thankful for you taking time. And congratulations again on the amazing success of this book.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure I'm definitely going to find you and get more copies signed.
It's available at Kitab Khana. I believe it's right in front as you open the door, so like the main section. It's available at. It's going to be available at Crossroads, and also at. It's at the White Crow at BKC, the Geo Mall at BKC. So you can also grab a copy. You can DM me, and I'll be happily giving this to you at a discount. Signed copy.
No, superb. Everybody, I definitely recommend it as a read. And of course, do check out, for those of you who haven't, some of the products on foodstrong.co as well. But thank you so much for taking the time, Bhavna. I really enjoyed
so much, and all the best. We're going to keep strong with Food Strong.
Thank you. Food that keeps you strong. That's what we're all about. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bhavna.
Wrap it up now. Take care.
You have a lovely
evening.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah? And have a great weekend, folks. Thank you for joining in.